Let's go ahead and get started. This is our plan together for January of 2021. I want to welcome you. I've been wanting to do this kind of a program for a long time, and I've finally taken the plunge and we're going to do it. So my name is Mary Colette Rogers, Healthy Kitchen Companion, and I've been a meal planner for centuries. And I'm so dedicated to it though, because I found that meal planning is what saved my sanity, my health, and even my life. And that sounds like an outrageous claim, but I've got a video on that. And you can hear how I came to that conclusion. Won't go into it today. But because I've had such a powerful experience with that, I'm so excited to be able to share it with others. And I started by offering a 2-week, a 5-week online course, which some of you have taken, some of you haven't. And speaking of that, I am going to go ahead and share my screen because I've got a little bit of PowerPoint presentation. Don't worry, it's not going to be a long PowerPoint presentation, but there's the welcome screen. And then let's see, this is the one I wanted to show that if you haven't taken the course or don't know anything about it, if you are going to take the course, when you take the plan together, you get a really good deal on it. So, but I realized that even if you've taken the 5-week course, let me stop that share. Even if you've taken that 5-week course, it can be challenging to turn meal planning into something that you do just regularly, even after 5 weeks, which I hope is a really good start. But then we need something to keep us going and keep us going. And I thought the plan togethers would be a great way to do that and have a little fun with it. And so that's what we're about today. So that's about me in the background of this class, but let's go ahead and just learn a little bit about you all, because I think you all, we know most of you and everything, but at least you could tell us your name because you don't know each other very well. Give us your name. And a little icebreaker question is, what food or flavor is calling your name right now? And like for me, it is beets because I belong to a farm share. And prior to Wednesday, I had 5 bags of beets, used up at least 2 of them, but then delivery came today and I've got yet another bag of beets to use up. So I am like really scratching my head thinking about it. I got to find ways to use up those beets. So anyway, so let's go ahead and start with Donna. Is this a good time, Donna? You're not in the middle of a bite of dinner. So go ahead, Donna.
Actually, I'm done eating. I finished about 5 minutes ago. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Let's see. What is a word that's calling out to me?
Or a food flavor.
Panko is something that I've never used before, but my dad has requested some things. I'm doing meal planning for them. And so they requested that I buy panko, and I picked it up and I thought, okay, what could I do with something like this if I were going to do something?
Oh, okay. Excellent. Okay, good. Christine, can we catch you? Are you in the middle of a bite?
I just finished a bite, so let's see. Yes. Thanks for setting this up, first of all, because I was one of the ones who was saying I think it's a good, great idea.
Yeah.
The food that's kind of calling to me.
Flavor, cuisine.
Yeah, that's you kind of stumped me, probably because I am eating beets tonight.
Okay.
I'm eating. I love cauliflower.
Okay.
I love
That's
using it with a lot of different things.
That's a great one. Great
I would say that's
good. And don't worry if you didn't have, it's just kind of a fun question to get us started. And then how about Eric and Ashley? I think you're muted. Yeah.
No, there.
Okay, you want to go first?
You go, Ashley.
Okay, I'm Ashley. Nice to meet you, everyone. It's Donna, and what was your name again? Sorry.
Christine.
And hi, Mary. Good to see you. Thanks for inviting me. Eric made a really good pork roast, like a shredded pork.
Yes.
Crock pot. So we've been having that. And I think we went through it really fast. So I'm a big meat eater. So that was really good because I hadn't had like pulled pork like that in a while. So yeah,
Good.
not a
Good.
vegetable, but
Yeah.
meat.
Good, good. Okay, so meat. How about you, Eric?
I think I'd like something like a fresh salad with strawberries on top.
Ooh, salad with strawberries. Okay. And you know, the other thing I was thinking about, just because I know this about Eric, he said he was just shopping and they got some chili paste, wasn't it, Eric? And I said, oh, that could be a good thing to plan into a menu because it's got a lot of flavor. So, well, all right. Well, let's go then. So thanks everybody for playing along with that. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to be experimenting with how can I best help you, and we can help each other to plan the kind of meals that we really want to be eating and have more success and happier and healthier meals out of it. So the thing is, and I'm going to share my screen once again here, just a couple of, let's see, yeah, there we go. Very good. Because we all know that meal planning has a lot of benefits. And if you were in our 5-week workshop, you would have seen that we went through all these benefits of meal planning, in addition to helping us get healthier meals on the table, reducing stress levels, better taste and creativity, nutritional quality, ability to economize, just so many different things. But the thing that's always been a mystery to me is that even though it's not that hard and it has so many benefits, so few of us do that. And so that's what I've always tried to explore in my classes around meal planning is what gets in our way. And in the 5-week workshop, we really delved into that question and tried to figure out, well, what barriers are there? And it's important, I think, well, Christine, you've been through it, and Donna, you're going through the class now. Maybe Eric and Ashley, you'll go through it at some point too. So it's important to kind of think about that. But for right now, we're going to kind of jump ahead and we're going to go ahead and just plan. We're just going to just act like there aren't any barriers there. And the question I want to explore today is, if we just plan and you get to experience the rewards of planned meals instead of meals that are just kind of a spur of the moment, will you recognize enough rewards that you go, wow, I'm going to do more of this? Will we get comfortable enough that planning gets to be no big deal? Will we start accumulating a database of ideas so that writer's block doesn't get in your way? And yeah, will we maybe even start having a little fun with it? So that's the thinking and the hope. And I hope I'm really glad that you're here to experiment with me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with the 7 steps to meal planning success. And these, if you're doing the class, you'll come across this. Is the first thing we talk about. These are just the mechanics. I'll just throw them up there now. Then we're going to talk about what's in season, both the dishes and the fruits and vegetables that are in season. Those are really good things to work with. And then I'm going to give you some ideas of things that I've been making, not with the sense that, oh, you're going to make what I make, but also just so that they can give you some inspiration. And then we can talk about, well, how might we adapt this to be something that you would like? And then your role in this is, can you have this goal, and can we kind of have this as a rule that you'll get at least one dish or one meal planned in this session, because it's a learn and do session. So does everybody think that's okay? Are we okay with that? At least one? Okay. All righty. Okay, and Christine, we're going to take that as a thumbs up from you. Christine's on the phone. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to those 7 steps to meal planning success. And in the workshop, you'll find out that it's 7, but I've actually changed it since I started doing this workshop. I said, wait, there's got to be there's another extra step in there that I missed. It was kind of like implied, but I want to make it explicit. So those steps are, and in the workshop, we go into these in detail. So I'm just going to go through them quickly. It's creating a space of time. And that's probably the most important step of all. And the reason is, what I've found is that if people will just take time to think a little bit about their meals, before they race into the kitchen to make them. It makes all the difference in the world. And you can usually figure things out on your own, but a lot of times we just don't take that time, or maybe we do need a little help. And that's what this workshops or these little plan together workshops are all about. Second step is to gather your tools. And there's not much to that. It's mostly a piece of paper and a pen. And I gave you, let's see, I might have a picture of this. Actually, here it is. This is the weekly planner that I gave you. That's easier to see. And I hope you've all had a chance to print it out, or just a piece of paper. And there's other options, but we'll just stick with something simple like this one today. So now what I'm hoping is that you'll go ahead and start doing these steps with me at this point. Do all of you have your tools, which is just your piece of paper and pen? So, or if you want to do it on the computer, whatever. And Donna, looks like you're okay. Christine, you're okay. And I know Ashley and Eric, he's checked in on that.
Yep.
The next step is to set up a framework that works for you. And, these are pretty elementary steps, pretty obvious. But why I give this to people is that sometimes we can get overwhelmed at the thought of, oh my God, I got to come up with a meal plan. What I found in my experience is that if I go through this simple process, it gets the wheels turning. It's this routine that I go through. Every time I create my little meal plan, I figure out what I'm going to do, how many days I'm going to plan, and that gets you going. So that's why we're doing this. So this step number 3, and this is where you really we've got to start thinking on your own a little bit and setting up the framework that works for you. And the first thing to do in that regard is to figure out how many days do you want to plan for. I mean, that's critical. You got to at least know what your goal is here. And that's entirely up to you. You can plan 1 day, or you can plan 7, or anything in between. I don't recommend going much beyond that, but anything from 1 to 7 days. So this is where we're going to get interactive. So go ahead and unmute your computers if you want for a little bit. But let's see, Christine, how many days do you think you want to plan for? What do you feel comfortable with?
Oh, I at least look out a week. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And just a tip is realize that when you plan a week, usually you really need to only plan 4 or 5 days, because in between the leftovers and I don't know, maybe have takeout or something one night. So just bear that in mind. It doesn't sound as much as it really is. Yeah. Donna, how about you? Because I know you're doing 2. So
Right. I'm doing for Vince and I do a week at a time. But every Friday, since the beginning of COVID, we've been doing date night, where we put out an email to our closest neighbors, and we offer to pick up takeout from a local restaurant. And so that's a Friday thing that we do every week.
Oh, that's so
I don't
cool.
I don't have to think about Friday. But then for my parents, I have to think about Monday through Friday for them.
Okay, alrighty. And Donna, just for the purposes of this class, maybe it makes sense to just choose one or the other. I don't know, maybe you can do both of them in your head at the same time, but just, I don't know, you probably got some system down. So Eric and Ashley, how about you guys? What's realistic for you?
Oh, we're not
I
on
think
mute, sorry.
every 7 days, 1 shopping trip a week, I think.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of advantages to just doing a week at a time. You get a lot of efficiencies of scale. So good. Okay, so we're all kind of on the same track there. Next day is, when do you want to start your plan? And like Dawn, I know you go shopping, I think on Saturday. Is that right? So your plans would start on Sunday?
Right.
Okay. And now Eric and Ashley, I know you guys just went shopping, right? You did your big shop. So, well, you could start your plan anytime. I don't know if you've got some things already planned and you want to start for Sunday, or what would be good for you?
I think I need the weekend to think about it.
Okay.
And then we normally run out of things and go on a Monday or a Tuesday night.
Okay. So why don't you put Monday as your starting date? Okay. And so write that down on your plan, so that you just have the right days on your plan for what you're planning. Because then we're going to get into another really important thing, and that is your activities and your schedule. Why a lot of people don't like meal planning is because they feel like it's a straitjacket. It's like, oh my God, what if things change? Well, the first step is to realize what's going to be going on. Now, having said that, I realize it's the COVID, and so there's not a lot going on, but sometimes there is. There's a webinar you want to watch, or there's like Donna, you're doing your date night thing with people. And so there are a few things. So be sure to mark those on your plan, because like say you have a late work day, you're going to need some leftovers or something really easy. That's not the night when you want to make the beet stew that I'm going to talk about. So be sure to take time right now. And why don't we stop for just a second and, look at your schedule. And like Christine, what I'm hearing is if you just started working at Harlequin's, you're going to probably be coming home late is what it sounds like to me. Would that be true? And so
yeah, so if it's this time of year, I'll probably get home around 3:30 or 4.
Okay.
But as the season progresses, yeah.
Oh, okay, good. So do you see how critical that's going to be, on your days off are going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to need to be planning for what's going to happen when you get home at 6:30 or 7.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the same with us too, is we have to have leftovers at least 2 to 3 nights because we finish so late.
Yeah.
Or the
Very
days, or the day's just really busy, so we'll do it for like lunch the next day.
Yeah.
Like-
What do you mean, Ashley?
Like the the next work day might be super busy, so we might use leftovers for lunch.
Okay.
instead.
Yeah. And then what will you do for dinner?
Cook again.
Okay, cool. And you just eat later then, huh?
Yeah.
But it would be good if we could come up with at least a couple of ideas that you could maybe start on the weekend. Would that work? That you could prep them and then you could have them somewhat going. So let's think about that. Yeah, so you'd want to put on like maybe on your meal plan, you do Saturday and Sunday could be maybe prep days. Although you shop on Monday, right?
Now that I think about it, I have Monday's like my latest day for work.
Okay.
But I guess that's just what we did this week. It kind of changes, but I think we could shop. We could even shop on a Friday or a Saturday morning and then use Saturday and Sunday as prep day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if that's the case, do you see what we need to do is you need to think about where your starting date might be next. Let's see. Well, it could be Saturday, like as a day after tomorrow or something. But you have to figure that out. And what I'm thinking is the next thing we need to do is have your shopping day put in, because like Ashley and Eric, you've already shopped, but you might not have a plan for how to use all that stuff. And so your shopping day might be next Friday and you've got enough food to get you through, or Wednesday you might drop by and get something quick. And so look at your activities, figure out when could you go shopping and when could new infusions come in. You can see that there's a number of factors to figure out. And that's why it's so important to take time in advance to do that and not wait until Wednesday night and go, oh crap, we're out of food. And then you have to run to the store and you don't know what to make and such. So I know it sounds a little complicated, but you get better and better at this as you start thinking about it. The other thing about the framework that we need to do, the last thing, is just what's in your fridge. In other words, you don't have to name everything, but like if you bought a chicken that's going to go bad, or you've got some leftover vegetables and you don't want them to go bad. Well, we want to know what those are. And if you'll see on the bottom of the sheet, I put in a new little place for what's in the fridge. It's over here on the left-hand corner in the bottom. And it's really good to have that filled in as well. Now, like I say, maybe there's only a couple things, 2, 3, 4 things, but think about, are there some of those things that you'd really like to be able to use up and not have them go to waste? So, Christine, I'm going to go back to you. Is there anything that you need to be working around?
I have, hang on, yeah, I have several squash that, are sitting out. So, yeah,
Winter
I probably
squash,
want to start
Christine?
making sure I use them.
Are they winter squash or
What?
winter
Yeah,
squash?
still
Yeah.
winter.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Anything else in the fridge that's in danger of going bad?
Yeah, I mean, just keeping track of vegetables like zucchini, things like the celery, just making sure that I use them. Yeah, they go in whatever I'm making.
Good, good, good. Donna, how about you?
I try to use up the things in the fridge as the week goes on. Like today, I really didn't have a plan, but I was looking at your pesto from the class that I took before, and I had some store-bought pesto, and I thought, well, I'll just throw that together because Vince had an earlier meeting and now he's in another meeting, and then I was trying to watch your class and then get into this. So I had a lot of stuff going on. So I just ended up doing the pesto and then looked around the fridge, and there was some shrimp in there and there was some Brussels sprouts. And so I'm not sure it would make a meal plan to begin with, but it pulled together all right.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, great. And is there anything else in your fridge that, you really want to be using up?
Well, I want to use up the rest of those shrimp. I found them at the grocery store the other day. They had shrimp cocktail for a really decent price. And we don't usually get that. And so we've kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah, those will go bad pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that would probably be a good thing for tomorrow. So,
Right, right.
Eric and Ashley, do you have anything in particular? It sounds like the pork roast is gone, but I thought you guys said you bought a chicken too.
Well, we have pomegranates.
Oh,
That was kind of a rare one.
mhm.
Carrots and broccoli.
Okay. Any other meat?
Working now.
And a couple beets.
And beets.
Oh, good. We love Well, the good thing is beets last a long time, so you don't have to worry too much about those. But was there any meat in there that need to be used up right away?
Sorry?
Any meat?
I just cooked all of our chicken today. We have mahi.
Oh, is it frozen or fresh?
Fresh.
Oh, you better use that up. Fish doesn't last too long.
Yeah, we'll probably use it before our next shop. Yeah.
Well, you'd probably better use it tomorrow. Or tonight, actually. Yeah, because if it's unthawed, fish only lasts maybe a day or two.
Could you put we made some chicken for tonight. It would make more sense to put the chicken in a Tupperware for tomorrow and cook the fish tonight.
Yep. And that's why the planning is so good, is you learn to use, what you look at what's in your fridge, what needs to be used up right away. And shrimp, seafood, anything like that needs to go pretty quick. And any fresh meats like chicken breasts, it's always good to use those up pretty quick. Okay, so good. So we've kind of got some ideas going already just by looking what's in the fridge. Like for instance, Eric and Ashley, on your menu plan for tonight, put down mahi. That's great. And Donna, you've already eaten, but tomorrow on your menu plan, I put down that shrimp.
Sure.
Yeah. And then let's see, Christine, one thing I'm looking at is zucchini is something that can often not taste that great. A lot of the vegetables will last pretty long, but zucchini, it can sometimes get kind of bitter tasting. So a suggestion would be that could be your first thing for tomorrow, being that you've already made dinner tonight. And that gives us a starting point. That gives us a starting point. So do you see now we've kind of got this framework. You know how many days you're going to plan. You've got your starting day. You know what activities you might have to work around to be able to get to the store, to have time to cook. You know what's in the fridge and you want to use it up. And you know when you're going to be able to go shopping and get some new ingredients. So now we just get to the point of filling in the blanks. But that sounds easy, but that's probably the most challenging part of this, in addition to creating a space of time. And then there's 4 other steps down there, which is to pull your recipes together, do a goal check, make a shopping list, and execute. But really, honestly, those last 4 steps go pretty easily once you just fill in the blanks. So that's where we want to put our focus right now. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the approach that I usually follow, which is called spark thinking. And what this means is a lot of times people feel like if they want to fill the blanks on their meal plan, what they're going to do is they're going to flip through recipe books, find some recipes. What I found that invariably that does is get people swamped and overloaded with recipes and too confused with all these different ideas. So what I've always advocated is that instead of that, why don't we just find a spark, and maybe even 2 of them, use that to go to the internet, or, maybe you've got recipes already that'll fit that, but it works really slick with the internet. You can put those parameters in and presto, you come up with a recipe, if you even need one. I'm going to give you several ideas that you don't even need a recipe for. And those are sometimes the best because they're really quick and fast. So that's the approach that I follow, is these sparks. And you can see we've already kind of done that. Because one of the sparks is what's in the fridge, mine that gold. And so what we've seen is that we've already, for all 3 of you, you've got some things that need to be used up quickly. That's our spark. And then we'll go from there and find some ideas for them. The other spark that I use all the time is, and they kind of go hand in hand, is the vegetables and fruits of the season, because that's going to get you your best food, your best tasting food for the cheapest price and the most nutritious, because it's stuff that's seasonal and it's local, and so it's going to be at its most nutritious. And so you can see this isn't an exclusive list by any means. Christine mentioned cauliflower, and that would be on this list. It's one of the cold weather crops. But there's our beets and our cabbage, winter squash. Christine mentioned that. Some of the fruits. Now, Ashley and Eric live down in Phoenix, so they can get things like pomegranates and all this really great citrus. We can get that, but that's probably not nearly as good. All the greens are in season now. They taste really good. Celery, and that's one of the things I'll show you tonight. If you want to stick around for the cooking demo, I'm going to make a cream of celery soup really fast. Carrots, onion and garlic, leeks, canned vegetables. Yeah, don't forget about canned vegetables, because this is the time of year when, for instance, tomatoes, I would not even bother buying them in the store. And yet you can get some really good ones, those Miracle ones, and use those. Or artichoke hearts I've been using this week. And then good dishes for the season. Good things to think about using those ingredients in is soups and stews and casseroles and warm winter salads. And then always some just basic triangles and some skillets, because everybody knows about skillets. We've made those in a lot of classes. So if I take all of that, so even just right there, we might have some more ideas coming up. Did any of those vegetables there, those winter vegetables, spark you in going, ooh, I'd like to make something with, well, Eric, you've got those beets. Christine, you've got the winter squash. There's cabbage, leeks. Is there anything that's like calling your name out of those things? Or you go, oh, I really would love to do a warm winter salad. Now, Eric, you mentioned, I think you were thinking of a green salad more. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, because they're down in Phoenix. It's not, it's a little different down there. But does anybody have, like, just looking at this picture, are there any things in there that really appeal and go, ooh, I'd like to try that?
So can you say a little more about a warm salad?
Yep. In fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and I'll show you what that looks like. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 6 things that I've been making over the last week. And one of them is the warm winter salad, Donna. Okay. And the hope is that we're going to start generating some sparks. And like I said, this doesn't mean you have to eat what I eat, but it just means that this give you an idea that, wow, I like that, but I'd like to adapt it this way. And the first thing I always want to tell people about is just basic triangles. Sometimes I think we get too worried about making something really fancy or something. And it's perfectly healthful, perfectly delicious to do what I call the basic triangle. And that's your protein, a vegetable, and a starch. And like this is one that I had this week, which is a roasted chicken, some air fried zucchini, and spaghetti squash with butter or Parmesan cheese, if you can have Parmesan. And my latest thing is my air fryer. I got a new little toaster oven with an air fryer, and I've just been having so much fun with that. So what about, should I go through all of these and then we can go back and you can decide which ones? Okay. The next one is, this is what I call an assembly meal. And what that means is it doesn't really take much in the way of cooking. It's just assembling some pre-cooked things. And like for mine, this was, Donna, getting back to your pesto idea. It's the basic idea is just a pesto pasta, but you can do so much with that. And if Christine, you'll remember this from the very first meal planning workshop, and Donnie, if you've gone through that first one, you've seen this as well. What I did for mine is, instead of pasta, I used spaghetti squash. I put on white beans for protein. I did parsley pesto, and the recipe is in the first meal planning workshop. I put some fun mix-ins for some sun-dried tomatoes and toasted walnuts. And then I did my air fried zucchini. I've had that like 4 times. It's crazy, but it's so good. And so anyway, I've been putting it with everything. And I didn't mix it in, but you could. But so what you can see down there is that's what I did. If that idea, just the idea of it, appeals to you, look down there in the row that's marked options. And do you see all the different things that you could do with that? You could use brown rice instead of spaghetti squash. You could use actually pasta. You could use a bean pasta. You could use a lentil pasta. You could put different vegetables in, like kale or leeks or roasted peppers for something really easy, because those are in the jar. You can use chicken sausage. And Christine, if I remember correctly, you love sausages. I think, were they bratwurst or something?
I do.
I know about that. So you could use that. You could use bacon. I use bacon, I think, in some of the leftovers. Chickpeas. You could make a ready-made pesto. So Donna, if you have some of your pesto left over,
I do.
This could be an idea to use it up. I put canned artichokes on mine one night. You can put all sorts of cheeses on there. You could use different nuts. So how's that? Anybody get any ideas there? Okay, let's go.
Well, this is Christine.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Christine. I would do cilantro. I love cilantro. I would do cilantro pesto, and I would do my classic mushrooms and onions.
That is fine. And would you put it on a pasta or spaghetti squash, or?
I would probably do it on the spaghetti squash or on like soba noodles.
Oh, that'd be great. Okay, so write it down. There you go. You've already got one day down. And Christine, I bet you could get two nights out of that, don't you think? Or think about this.
Yeah.
This is another creative way to use leftovers is make a big batch of cilantro pesto. One night you make this dish over soba noodles and another night over spaghetti squash. And, you've kind of got what looks to be like a completely different meal, but you don't have a lot of extra preparation.
Yeah.
And then, Christine, think about, like, do you want any kind of cheese on top? I don't know if you're dairy free or not, but, do you like any kind of, I'm trying to think, what did you just say? Mushrooms and onions and the sausage?
Yeah.
She was going to do mushrooms. Yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted some nuts, some toasted walnuts with that, just for getting more diet diversity in. Maybe some roasted peppers or something, Just look through that list and see.
Yeah.
The more different things we can get into our diet, the better. So Ashley and Eric, I see you're kind of grinning about something. Did you think of something there?
I'm just saying, this is making me so hungry.
It's just like shopping, Ashley. You're not supposed to have to plan your menus until you get.
I'm making myself drink this water. It's just because we still need to eat dinner. But I guess I could did something similar tonight. I knew that we had spaghetti squash that we needed to use. And so I did that and just mushrooms and onions to go on top.
Yeah,
And a little bit left of mushrooms. And then just did our chicken. So it's going to be
excellent.
a
That's
veggie
great.
pasta.
And then if you wanted it to be a little more like get a liquid in there, if you had a can of tomatoes and or maybe some tomato paste or something, you can make it more saucy, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe some basil or, you know, Italian seasonings or something like that too. You could try. Yeah. Okay, so good. Let's go on to the warm winter salad and see if that sparks anything. Eric and Ashley, or Eric, you can think about, you know, in cold climates, I don't really feel like a cold salad very much. So that's why I do these warm salads. I don't even put lettuce with them. They're just vegetable salads. And this was my big thing for getting rid of some beets. I did the roasted beets, fried radishes, which are another good winter vegetable, and celery. And I added some spaghetti squash, put the bacon with it, toasted hazelnuts, and then an orange cilantro dressing. But
Mary,
again, yes, go ahead, Donna.
are you going to send us this PowerPoint by chance? Because I don't want to
Donna,
write all this down.
Donna, these are in your handouts. This is the same. Yeah, I took these right out of the handouts. Did you see them?
No, I didn't. Oh, here we are. Yeah.
Okay.
I printed them right as I was signing in. So, okay, good to know.
Yeah, and this has so many endless options, you know, like I love tuna with it. I love fennel with it, you know, frozen peas for something easy. All sorts of different nuts. So you can see how much diversity there is there. And again, get in as much as you can. And then here's the skillet, which is a Thai cabbage skillet. And Eric, like if you have your chili sauce that you just bought and maybe some ground pork or chicken, or if you just have some leftover chicken, this is something you could easily make. And I didn't put the chili paste down there, but you know, just adding a little bit to the Thai one. Well, you could use that instead of Thai green curry, or if you make a Chinese style, you could add a little bit to that. But again, just lots of different options there. You can make it vegetarian, you can make it with meat, or you could just make it with, you know, just the vegetables and serve it over rice and then put some crushed nuts on top. Okay. And then here is, now this would be what I call a big cook meal. This is the Russian Minestrone. And I made this, and it does have a lot of vegetables. It takes some time, but you get 2 to 3 meals out of it. And it's quite delicious. You make a lot of it in the crock pot. And I kind of make it in stages, so I'm not like standing in the kitchen for a long time. I kind of make a little bit here, a little bit there, and then it all comes together. And I got the recipe. Donna, there's an actual recipe here.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
So the actual recipe's there. If anybody's interested in that, after class, if you want me to kind of walk you through it so you get it, but you know, basically you're using your crock pot to cook the meat and the beets, and then you put the rest into just a regular soup pot. But that makes it easier and spreads it out. And then the thing we're going to be doing today is, if you don't need to watch, it's pretty darn easy, but it's just a very quick cooking blender soup, which is cream of celery. You can just have that as a soup and maybe put a triangle meal. That would be your vegetable, maybe a hamburger or pork chop or something, and some other starch on the side of maybe baked sweet potatoes. So that could be something really easily that you could do. And I'm going to demonstrate this, but you can also just, like Donna, remember you wanted more ideas for lamb? Like when you make soups, if you get lamb burger and you fry it, and then you can add the soup to it, that's another great way. Celery really complements lamb nicely. But you could use anything. And Christine, you can use your sausage in there. But again, there's just so many different options that you can do with that. So the big thing is, what is sparking your imagination? And there's one last one, and this is going to be in our cook together at the end of the month, which is just it's braised carrots and leeks, learning to cook with the winter vegetables. And there's no recipe for that yet because it's going to be in the cook together at the end of the month. But you know, something to keep in mind that maybe at the end of the month, you might want to plan that. So I've given you lots of sparks to get you going. Tell me, is this helping you to get some ideas? How are we doing there? Christine, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm getting some ideas. I'm also realizing I want to go back and make those winters. I like to make those winter squash patties that I learned from you.
Yep, I know you.
I'll do that.
Okay. And you know, you can make
I love roasted vegetables. So.
Probably. Do you think you can make enough of those? Oh, go ahead, Christine. Sorry.
No, that's good. No, I'm getting some. A chorizo is another one I like, and I was thinking about that with the skillet.
Oh yeah,
with the cabbage, like a little spicy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have the chorizo spice though? Did you ever get that?
No, but I just buy chorizo at Natural Grocers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got some the other day too, actually, a pork chorizo, and I have never used it yet. So so that's a great idea.
Yeah.
How about for something different and new? Would you like to try, like, say a warm winter salad or a blender soup or something like that, just to kind of be a little different?
Sure. The blender soup, I'm curious about the celery. I just learned how to make the broccoli stalk soup.
Oh, good.
Which I love. Yes. Love that. So yeah, the blender soups I think are great for winter. So yeah, that would be a good idea. The celery.
Maybe try it. What you'll be surprised at,
especially since celery. Well, I was going to say celery often is one of those things that sometimes can go. I don't tend to use it all. Like that's one that I'm using it better, but that would be a good soup to make good use of it before it gets wilted.
Exactly, and even if it does get wilted, you can use it. And especially what's good about it.
Oh, okay.
And especially what is good about it too, that I'll be sharing, is that it's a great way to use those tougher outer stalks that sometimes you don't want to slice up for a salad or something like that. And also it uses up the tops, those leaves and everything that often we just throw away. And all of that adds really good celery flavor to the soup. And this is a really good time to use celery because it's in season. And if you'll buy some now, it might be different down in Phoenix, but at least up here, the celery is so flavorful. You buy it in the summer and it really just doesn't taste like much, or it tastes somewhat bitter. But from about November until February, the celery is so good. That's why I'm kind of encouraging you to give that a try, especially if you've got some in there that has yet to be used. And then, Christine, didn't you say do you have cauliflower, or do you just like cauliflower?
I have some, and I like it. Yeah, both.
Well, because what you can do is combine the cauliflower stalk. You cut off the florets in the center part. You can cook that with celery that's a really good combination.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe you wanted to give that a try.
Sure.
Just totally and different. And it follows the same thing as the broccoli soup. So if you learn to do that, it'll be an easy hop and skip to the celery soup.
So are the celery soup and the broccoli stock soup something that you have given recipes to, or these are other recipes that other people have?
The broccoli stock soup, and then Christine, I don't know where you learned it from, but I have a series online that that, and I can send you the link. It's up on my Vimeo channel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the celery one is this is it, right? It's in your handouts. Let me see if I can find it just a second. It's this one, Donna. A quick cook blender soup, cream of celery. And I was going to do a demo of that for anybody who has time to watch it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But that kind of walks you through, and it's not a formal recipe because blender soups are kind of loose,
Oh, okay.
And you kind of learn how to, And I gotta say, one of the most important things is if you can have bone broth, it makes them so flavorful. And I've got my bone broth here. If anybody wants to see it, I can show you what it looks like and how I deal with it. So, yeah. So Christine, getting back to you just real quick. It sounds like to me you got enough for a week there. Am I correct?
I've been filling it out. So
Yeah.
one of my other things that I'm doing when Dawn mentioned shrimp is I've been learning how to make shrimp gumbo.
Oh,
So you've grown up in
wow.
Louisiana, you'd think I know.
kind of would. Well, Christine, I think that would be a good thing to add.
Yeah.
So it sounds to
Yeah,
me like
so
you've
I've been-
got at least 5 dishes, which is probably enough for a week, I guess.
I think so.
Yeah. Because another tip is just don't overdo, because we can get all excited. Ashley's right that, oh my gosh, this is so fun, I'm getting hungry. And so, but we don't want to plan so much that then when we start cooking, we go, oh my God, I've got this entire week. And you want to get some days in there for breaks when you have leftovers, or you have, takeout, or you have just an old standby of some sort. Okay. So, well, Christine, that sounds great.
Okay.
How about Ashley and Eric? What about you guys?
Well, we have bok choy.
Oh,
So what was the thing you showed, the Thai thing?
yep, the Thai skillet. I was just going to say the same thing. That'd be perfect.
That sounds so good. And
Yeah.
then I was just thinking maybe a carrot soup.
Great. You could do it the same. You could do just a blender soup with carrots.
Yeah, I love that.
We actually, Christine said the broccoli stem soup, and we actually have some broccoli in there. So we could do that as well.
And the color could be a little funky, but you could put, you could throw a couple carrots in with the broccoli one, just for some sweetness. But then you might want to do, a carrot one too. I mean, I eat a lot of soups in the winter, so I don't think it's anything wrong with them. The other thing that's really good about a carrot soup, Ashley, is that can be at the end of your planning thing, because carrots will last in the fridge just fine. And so when you get to the day when, say, you're going to go shopping, the night before, you could cook your carrots and blend them up and have that all ready to go. So when you get home, say a triangle meal, you have your carrot soup all done. That's the hard part. Cook a hamburger, have some potatoes, microwave potatoes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so write it down.
Okay.
You don't get free pass in this class. It's do as you learn. So carrot soup, baked
So
potatoes.
can I ask them a question?
Yes.
So how would you cook the mahi-mahi?
Good question. Any ideas there?
Eric normally does the fish.
Yeah, with the lemon, you can do it just in a cast iron pan, and
Okay.
put like thin lemon slices on top, or you can bake it too in the oven.
Okay.
But
I don't know what the
All right.
yeah, I don't know the spices. I just do lemon on it only. But you like salt, the Himalayan rock salt you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the
All right,
fish,
thanks.
that's if it's good fish, sometimes you don't want to do too much to it.
Yeah, it's good fish. Yeah.
And I kind of prefer to do it on the stovetop, because one of the most important things with fish is not to overcook it. It's really easy to overcook it if you put it in the oven, because you can't see it. Unless the other way, Eric, and I don't know if you remember, we've done this before. I don't know if you remember it, but it's called cooking en papillote, where you cook the fish with, say, some mushrooms and some green onions in a tinfoil packet or parchment paper packet. Then you can bake that. And what's nice about that, it keeps all the moisture in, so it's really hard to overcook it. You don't ruin it so bad. So Christine, if you wanted to get into fish, that's another good way to get started cooking fish.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And Christine, one of the things that you'll also notice on the bottom of your form is that there's a line over in the right-hand corner that says extra ideas. And if you like that, idea, maybe getting a little fish into your diet, could I suggest write down fish or mahi-mahi, and then en papillote, or just in paper is what it means. It's French for in paper. if you want to, and then, next time we can come up with that recipe for you.
Okay.
But that gets you started the next time. You're not just starting from ground zero. Okay. Well, Eric and Ashley, it sounds like you've got several things. You've got your mahi-mahi, you've got your broccoli soup, you've got your carrot soup with like hamburger and potato, you've got your bok choy skillet. And just a pointer for all of you in terms of bok choy, especially, you're going to stir fry it or put it in skillet. Bok choy has two parts. The white part down at the bottom is your they're not that tough, but they're tougher than the leaves. So whenever I use those, I will slice the white parts pretty thin and maybe even cut them in half. Cook those for a while, saute them with the onions for a while. Then just chop up the greens and add those at the very end so that they don't get like cooked to death. And Eric, that's where your chili sauce could come in, some soy sauce, if you got some lime in that. So you got 4 things.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And then Donna, and then Eric and Ashley, if you guys need to go, I don't want to hold you because you haven't had dinner yet. But if one of you wants to go make dinner and the other one wants to watch the celery soup, I can show it to you, but it's up to you. Okay.
I'll watch the soup for a little bit.
Okay. But let's see what Donna's got going on there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm thinking that I have it pretty easy because my husband doesn't mind leftovers. And so I'm going to make a big thing of tofu enchiladas on Sunday.
Yay.
And then he's in charge of dinners on Monday, because that's the day that I go to visit my folks. He does Mondays and Wednesdays. And so we'll have leftover enchiladas on Tuesday, and Thursday I'm thinking of making some sort of soup. I'm interested in seeing your blender soup here. And then Friday's our date night, and a lot of times we get enough so that we have leftovers on Saturday, and that brings us around to the week. And then my parents, I've already got, I made a plan for this week, and then their cook was out 2 days. So already got lasagna and burgers with fried summer squash for them. And then I was going to do eggplant parmesan, and I couldn't find any eggplant in the store the other day. Sprouts didn't have any, so I'm putting that on for next week.
Yeah, Donna, eggplant is a summer vegetable more. So.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so I would actually suggest I'd hold off on that. You could sometimes get decent eggplant starting in about March. They bring it up.
Okay.
But usually that's a better one to wait a little bit on.
Okay, good to know. I just go by what my dad asked for.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Then forget about it. If you put enough cheese and breadcrumbs on it, that's where you use the panko. If it makes him happy, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, he's 97. He just wants something good to eat.
Eggplant. Eggplant, lots of Parmesan and mozzarella.
So I have 2 more meals to come up with for them.
Now, what about Vince? Is he going to figure out what he wants to make on his own?
Yeah, he usually, I beg him to tell me by Saturday. He's kind of he gets into the surprise, like you mentioned on your video, it's like, oh my gosh, during the headlights about 5 o'clock in the evening on the day he's supposed to cook. And I've gotten in the habit now of asking him before I go to the grocery store to plan for the next week. So I will ask him tomorrow, what his plans are for next week.
Yeah, maybe he'd like to try one of the ideas that we've talked about, say I don't know what would appeal to him, but maybe he could go through them, or maybe even just a triangle meal, that's easy.
Yeah, and he pulled some salmon out of the freezer the other day, but it was too late for him to cook it. So that'll probably be his next meal that he makes.
Okay. Well, don't let that go bad if he doesn't cook till Monday.
No, it's packaged inside of it's in a sauce and inside. It's,
Oh, okay, good. So it can last. Okay.
yeah, it's not,
Well, good. Well, so what's left then is something for your parents, was that right?
yeah, 2 more things for them. And I'm trying to come up with some sort of slow cooker meal that the helper could put in the morning on, or I could put in on the morning of Monday, and then they would have it by Monday evening or something like that. So I found this one that's a slow cooker Mediterranean chicken and orzo.
Oh, that sounds great. If that's
Yeah.
what they would like, I mean, you know their taste better.
Well, he loves Greek food. He loves, yeah. So I'd just try it maybe.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know.
would he like that Russian minestrone? Because that can be made all in the crock pot.
Yeah, it looks a little complicated though. When I was
Yeah.
looking at it, it looked like the day before and then you do this and then you do that. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you can do it all at once too. But what I would suggest if you were going to do that is that you make a big pot of it, and then you take some to him, and then you have the rest.
Yeah, that's probably a better way. Yeah.
If you
And I've done that. Sometimes I'll make something big on a Sunday and then bring it.
Yeah, yeah, and then just bring him
Yeah.
a little bit, and then there'd be enough for you and Vince for a day or two, and then one for him too.
Yeah, he and my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Donna, if you want to, we could stay after just a couple minutes and talk about anything else that would appeal to him. But it sounds like you're okay. You got yourself done.
Yep. Yes, I'm.
Okay. Well, presto. And does it mean okay? And then yeah, Donna, let's I want to just talk to you a little bit afterwards, okay? But
Okay.
we'll get on just because I want to get onto the demo real quick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the last steps are, and don't forget these, is to just pull together any recipes that you need. And like if you can kind of work with what I've given you, good. If not, you go to the internet, you put in a couple search terms, and it'll pull up, 1,500,000 recipes. So you only look at the first 3 or 4, and you'll find one through that. But I don't know that all of you need recipes. Either you've got them or you kind of know how to put these things together anyway. And then make sure fit your goals, because sometimes we have some health goals, or we have some monetary goals, or we want more interesting meals goals. Make sure you're paying attention to those. And like Donna, you've got to figure out things for your parents that they'll like. And then the last thing is, don't forget about the shopping list, because that's where you really get an advantage when you plan your meals. And I put this up, but it's pretty simple. You just tick through everything on your meal plan and make sure it gets over to your shopping list. And if you're going to do one of those assembly meals, make sure you write down everything you're going to assemble so you don't forget any of them. So there's your steps. And I just wanted to quickly show you too that one of the tips that I always advocate is having inventory on hand. And like Ashley and Eric, you cooked that pot roast or the pork roast, and you had that on hand. Well, like this week, my inventory was I made slow cooker roasted beets, slow cooker white beans, air fried a chicken and pulled it, had stew meat, spaghetti squash. I always have rice on hand. I always have bone broth on hand. And you'll find that if you've got some inventory like that, it's pretty easy to pull together meals like particularly these assembly meals. So think about that strategy. It's a really a good, helpful one. Okay, so are we ready? We'll look at the blender soup. Does that sound good?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said the whole point of this cream of celery soup and all of these blender soups is that they're just a great way to use up vegetables that you might otherwise not. Maybe they don't taste that great. They're a little tougher, or you might throw them away. And like, for instance, like I was saying with the celery, a lot of times you get these outer stalks and they're pretty tough. They also have all these leaves on them, and you go, what am I going to do with that? And so blender soups are a great way to use them up. And in this blender soup, I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm going to bring this over and show you in my with my camera. Let's see if I can show you this. Okay. Oops, not quite.
No.
Nope. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So that shows you I have already cooked this, but this is what it looks like. And I want to show you, I'm going to get my fork. And let's see, you can still see me, right? So what
Yes.
I do is I cook it. It probably took a good 45 minutes to an hour. But what you're trying to do is get this to where, let me show you, see if I can show you. Yeah, let's see. Oh, let's see. I wish I need a camera person. But you can see how tender that celery is. That's where you're trying to cook it to. Could you guys see that? Did I mess that up?
Yes.
And the potatoes, okay, the potatoes are quite tender. And the other thing I did is you'll see that the leaves in there are still pretty green, even though the celery itself is pretty well cooked, but the leaves are still pretty nice and green. So what I did is I cooked the potato and the celery until they were quite tender. And then for just the last 5 minutes of the cooking time, I added the leaves of the celery. And for that, you only want to just pull off like just the leaf part. Any of these little stems will go in and be cooked with the rest of the celery and the potato. Okay, so once this is cooked and I've combined it with my bone broth, so make sure you're getting a really good broth because that's going to be one of the biggest flavor things to impart flavor into the dish, okay? Now, once that's done, then we're going to go ahead and put it in. I've got a Vitamix, but I think any kind of blender would work. The nice thing about the Vitamix is that you can get that really, really silky texture, which is nice. And you can get pretty close to that, I think, even with just a regular blender. So I've got that in there, and I have cooled mine off. Now, you probably know that you don't want to put really hot soup in a blender and go ahead and push the button because it can explode because of the steam. So always let your soup cool a little bit before you go ahead and blend it. And mine has cooled off a little bit there. So I'll put the lid on and tighten that down. And now the other thing though, before I do that, you have a choice because what the instructions will tell you is to go ahead and I sauteed some onions. You don't have to do that. But always onions can give us a little more flavor foundation in the soup. So I just cut these real small. Let me just show you here. There, that you can see them little. They're just so small. Big thing I did though is I cooked them over low heat with, I sauteed them in butter, which adds a lot of flavor to your soup too. Now, what you can do is you can blend the soup, then add the onions so you have a little bit of texture in there. Or you can just add the onions to the soup and blend it all together so the whole thing is smooth. So you can kind of play with that and see how you like it. The big thing I noticed is in case you don't have a good skillet, I just experimented with using my light skillet. I was just surprised. You can even see how it almost, yeah, you can see it almost burns in there so easily, even though I was really watching it. So just why you want to have a really good skillet, a good heavy bottom skillet so you don't burn things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this up really quick and it won't take too long. I won't do it the whole way. So this is going to be really noisy. So just ignore for just a minute. Close your ears. Okay, I would have done this more because I really like mine when it's that real silky. But for now, I just want to show you, this is pretty well done and it's still got some texture and you may actually kind of like it that way. I'll show you what this is. You can still see it's got little bits of the celery leaves in it, which is kind of some nice color and so forth. So you might like that. So, experiment, taste it and then go, oh, I think I'd like a little more. That's fine. Then the fun part can be, I'm pouring this into the bowl. What I'd really do is put it back in the pan and heat it up. But I just wanted to show you where another really fun part about this can be experimenting with flavors. Now, sometimes I'm in a hurry. I'll just eat the soup just as it is because if you made it with a good broth and good celery and you got the onions in there, there's plenty of flavor. Just some salt and pepper, of course, you'd want to add. But some of the other things you can do is, we've talked about blooms before. And a bloom is simply where we add some spices with an acid like lemon, maybe a vinegar, and we put them in a little bowl, let them sit for a while. And then that can be a little flavoring that we add. We don't necessarily have to and cook it with the dish then. And so what I'm doing here is I'm making a little bloom, which has got sage, marjoram, and thyme. And don't worry, those are listed in your little recipe here. But I'm just showing you quickly how you do that. And I squeeze a little bit of lemon in there. I put a little bit of olive oil and stir it up. And then you would leave this for, 5-10 minutes. And that allows those herbs to kind of soften and get into the olive oil and be a lot more flavorful. And so what I did one day, which was kind of fun because I was going, I wonder what flavors would taste good with this. So I went to the table and I had my little bloom here. And then I had my fine herbs, and all these are listed in your recipe, so don't worry, you don't have to remember them all. But these are fine herbs. I had herbs de Provence. I had curry, which was surprisingly good, and vindaloo, which is another one. You can go to the spice store and find all these fun spices. And what I did is I filled a bowl with hot soup, and in one side I put just a touch of, say, vindaloo. And then in another side I put just a touch of curry powder, and then a little touch of my bloom. And I was able to taste them and see which I liked. And why I really encourage you to do that is so that you can start learning, what are the tastes? What do I like? If you don't do things like this, you'll never learn what flavors really appeal to you and sing to you. And so you might just play with it. Celery is a good blank canvas, and you can put these different colors on it and see which ones you like. And then, like I said, not only can you play with the spices, but the other day I had some mung beans that I cooked. I threw those in. Or you might have some cooked brown rice. You could put a little of that. You could put some protein in, like the lamb burger, Donna, that we talked about, some chicken burger, some sausage. The other thing you can think about is some toppings on top. Maybe some whole grain croutons, some sauteed whole grain breadcrumbs. What am I thinking of? Toasted. I was thinking, and I haven't tried this yet, but if I made the soup with curry, I might put some toasted coconut on top, just for something that gives a little crunch to it. So anyway, I've written a lot of those down, and you can play with those and see what you think. And the one thing I'll mention is I did put a potato in mine, a cup of potato. You don't want to put too much in because cooked potatoes can get really gummy when you blend them like this. So you don't want to put many in. The proportions are, and if you want to write these down on your recipe, I actually measured it out this afternoon. I put 4 cups of vegetables to 1 cup of potatoes. And then 1 cup was just like this medium-sized potato, maybe medium large. And the reason I put that in is it gives the soup a little more substance and a little more filling power. Also makes it creamier, but you don't have to do that if you want a soup that's a little bit lighter, or if you want to make it creamy too, you can just put some cream into it, or a little more butter at the end. Or there's potato flakes. Bob's Red Mill makes some clean potato flakes that you can add those when you heat it back up. You add those with a little butter, maybe a little bit of milk. That makes it creamy as well. So I just hope you can see all the variety that you can do. And you can change out the vegetables. Like Ashley's going to try this with carrots, and Eric's going to do it with broccoli, and Christine's going to add some cauliflower stock to hers. Once you get the idea down, you can start playing with it and playing with the spices, playing with the mix-ins. You can have so much fun and have so many different dishes really pretty easily. So that's your cream of celery soup. It was just a quick demo. We didn't go through everything, but I hope you got a good sense of it, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. And let's see, so I will head back to my computer, I think, and I'll switch my cameras, see if we have any other questions. And I really want to thank all of you for joining me for this first plan together. I just love doing this because planning together is such a valuable thing. I hope you'll all notice that this week when you make your meals and you've got them all planned. So that ends today's presentation, but I want to take any questions that we have. So.
Hey, Mary, I just want to say thank you. And it was good because, and I also got some ideas from the others. So that I know is one of the reasons we wanted to do this.
You got some ideas from what?
We had to get ideas from, Eric and Ashley and Donna. So that was nice, to write.
Yeah, exactly. Like the mahi-mahi. Mm-hmm. Very good. And the shrimp.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, so maybe,
Yeah, so thank you.
If we come back next month, bring your ideas. And, if you found
exactly,
that's great. That's kind of the point of it. So you're right, Christine. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All righty. And Donna and Ashley, Eric, any other questions?
Are we doing this monthly, Mary?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do it once a month. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
yeah, I had a lot of
enough ideas to kind of generate things together with the cook together at the end of the month.
Okay, got it. Cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed it tonight.
Oh, good. All right. Well, you guys go make your dinner. You got something. You're going to use that fish tonight, right?
I think we might use it tomorrow because I already cooked everything, but we'll use it soon.
Okay. All righty. Yeah, but be careful. It doesn't go bad on you. Smell it.
We will.
Okay. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Great to meet you. See you next month.
Good to meet you. Yeah, thanks, Mary, for doing this. This is really helpful to just get in the habit of doing the planning ahead.